What's going on, everybody? What is going on? It is Monday, October 23rd, 2023, and we are back live here on the Taurean Reloaded channel with another impromptu live. But this is one I really felt compelled to want to have to do. I actually had wanted to do this since last week, but since I was out of town, I wasn't able to do it at the time that I wanted to. So this was the next available day. And y'all can see the title right here. Y'all can see the title. But before we actually go ahead and get into it, let me go ahead and acknowledge the people who are here so far in the chat. And also make sure y'all go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you are new, hit the bell twice to be notified whenever I go live or upload a new video. I truly believe that it is that time of the year where this platform decides to do some shaky stuff with my channel. I've been noticing it with the last few videos that I've uploaded over the weekend. It's crazy how one video I did is almost at 6,000 views, and the next one just dropped all the way down to less than 2,000 the next day. So I think it's some shaky stuff going on, but you know, we're gonna work through it as usual. Let's see who we have in here. DSM Sinister, Janesta, Magic Dragon, California Red, Kill Yourself, Anita, my Too Much for You, Corel, D Henry Enterprises, Nisha 9 Star, 69 Candles, Blue Exodus, Alvin Learning, Saint Maurice, Jeremiah, the aka Canadian Plug, Lana L, Charlie B, Donna C, Boo Nee, Kika Collins, DeMarcus, Painful Truth, Darlene, Real Beautiness 25, Val Williams, Yatunde, Grape Shot, Quasi, Tamika's Den, Denise Scales, Mike 4282, Dewani, Savion, Fauna Faye, Cosima Fury, Blair in Real Life, Tawana Cook, Natasha Holiday, Ruthless Millennium 2000, and Noble Valkyrie. Salute to everybody who was in here so far. I'm glad that you are all here this evening. But yeah, I definitely wanted to come on here and talk about this particular topic today because it's something I've been noticing recently, and it's something that if you've been following me, I've pointed out in the past, especially when it comes to the topic of Michael Jackson, because for all of you that are unaware, I'm a huge MJ fan. As a matter of fact, I was listening to some Michael Jackson before I got on this live to kind of hype me up a little bit so I can make sure I have everything in order of what I wanted to say, depending on what it is that I am going to be talking about. But shout out to everybody that is coming in so far. We have 85 people that's in here so far. Let's see if we can get it to 100 before 7:10, which means that gives us 3 minutes. Shout out to Hacksign KT, Carla Locker. Oh, Val and Carla are here. That means the Trouble Mint twins are in the building. We also have Tia to you. Shout out to Tia. I'm glad that you are here as well. But yep, we are here to talk about the king of music himself, Michael Jackson, and why I believe they've been trying to dethrone this man. As y'all know, I don't like to just merely limit him down to the king of pop, because truly I believe this man could do any genre of music. If you are familiar with his catalog like I am, you'll know exactly what I am talking about. But like I said, it's something I've been noticing recently, but it's also something I've been noticing over the last few years, especially more so after he died. This is when I started to really notice them ramping it up. It's almost like they couldn't wait for this man to pass so they could start saying a whole bunch of stuff, but we'll get into it. We got about 2 more minutes and we're going to go ahead and get started. But how is everybody doing today? I hope everybody had a good start of their week. I know that I did. I had a very good weekend. Shout out to everybody that came to that live stream that I did when I was in the airport yesterday, getting ready to go back home, or come back home, I should say, after my homecoming, which I had a very good time. If y'all want to hear my experience about that, check out the playback for that live that I did yesterday. Natasha says, I don't believe in stream sales, they lie. Well, yeah, that is true. Like, a lot of people don't believe in those streaming numbers because, you know, those can be altered. for sure. Unlike back in the day, pre-streaming, you actually had raw figures. Like you could actually see the numbers. Give it about one more minute and we are going to go ahead and get this thing started. And I'm glad I'm doing the live at the time that I'm doing, because by this time I figure, you know, a lot of people are already off work. This is a pretty decent time to have this live going on. I'm trying to keep this live in under an hour. So it is now 7:10. Let me go ahead now and share the screen. And we're going to start off with this one. This post that you're seeing right here is actually what kicked it off for me for wanting to talk about it, or talk about this in the form of a live. Now, as many of y'all know, I am no fan of Taylor Swift with music in any capacity. I truly believe that she is probably one of the most overrated artists right now. But that's just my opinion. So if any of her fans hear me saying this, don't come troll this comment section saying that I said this, that, and the third. I said what I said, and I'm standing on it. But Taylor Swift, I believe she's currently on tour right now, or she was on tour. And another thing that's like bugging me about her currently is the fact that they keep throwing her and Travis Kelce's arrangement, because I truly don't believe they're in a relationship, in our face. Like it's like you can't go a week ever since they stepped out publicly as a couple, quote unquote. You could not stop hearing about them. It got annoying very, very fast. I mean, it worked out in the favor of Travis Kelce and the Kansas City Chiefs and her for publicity wise. But for the rest of us who didn't care, we got tired of hearing about their so-called relationship. It is what it is. People get in relationships every day. But she was on tour, or is currently on tour, and she actually released her tour film in the theaters about 2 weeks ago, I believe. And it grossed, you know, a lot of money. You know, as you can see right here, it said it topped the box office with $128 million, shattering a global record for a concert film. Now, the part that got me was when I started to go down a little bit into this part right here, where it says internationally, Swiftie shelled out an additional $32 million, giving their mother a global debut weekend of $128 million, breaking the record for a concert film previously set by Michael Jackson's This Is It in 2009 of $74.3 million. Now, for those of you who are unaware, This Is It was basically a behind the scenes compilation of footage for what was supposed to be the This Is It tour, which was supposed to be Michael Jackson's final world tour before retiring from at least touring. I'm not going to say retiring from music altogether, but from retiring as far as being as doing world tours. Because you got to think the man at the time, he was 50. You know, he's been performing all of his life since he was a child. You know, he was ready to hang it up, but he wanted to give his fans one last tour, especially since he wasn't able to give us the Invincible tour, because we know what was going on during that time. And he said, I'm gonna do this as a final tour, and he was going to kick it off at the O2 Arena in London. But unfortunately, we know what happened on June 25th, 2009, where he tragically and unfortunately and shockingly passed away. And let me just tell you this. A lot of people say that the internet is undefeated. I beg to differ. The internet actually took one L, and that was the day that Michael Jackson passed. I don't know about y'all, but the internet literally froze when word went out that Michael Jackson had died. Who remembers that? Who remembers when Google actually legit froze? Like, you couldn't Google anything for at least 5 minutes because the servers were so jammed. Like, the minute that it went out that Michael Jackson had died, it sent shockwaves around the world that people couldn't tweet anything, people couldn't Google anything, you couldn't do nothing. You were stuck. So when people say the internet is undefeated, I beg to differ when I tell you that it lost one time, and that was to Michael Jackson's news of his passing. Now, keep this in mind. The actress Farrah Fawcett also died the same day, and her death announcement was made hours before Michael Jackson. But it didn't have the same effect as it did when Michael Jackson was announced. And that's mainly because a lot of the people who were familiar with Farrah Fawcett were maybe like our parents, those who watched like shows like Charlie's Angels back in the day. That's who she would have appealed to. But Michael Jackson, this man had crossover generational appeal to anybody, no matter what their age was. And he was trending on Twitter for like 3 months. I remember this vividly because I was 20. I just turned 20 the month before. I remember this. I was on my summer break from school, and I remember where I was. I was actually at my uncle's house helping him to install Photoshop on his computer when that's when it got announced. I couldn't refresh the page. I couldn't research anything to see if it was true. None of that, because that's basically what everybody was doing. Everybody was trying to figure out, was it true? Was it a lie? And then when it came out that it was true, then that's when somehow the internet seemed to unfreeze. But yeah, I remember it vividly. As a matter of fact, you can go on to YouTube and just type in people reacting to Michael Jackson's passing, and they have actual footage. Like, it was people actually in Times Square where they were posting up the news on those big screens. And in Times Square, those are giant screens. On those screens, they have different things on all those screens. But that day, at that time, every screen has something about Michael Jackson on it from different outlets. Down at the the Apollo Theater, you had people going down there wearing Michael Jackson attire, dancing and playing his music. His death was very impactful. Now really think about that. You're right, Fanafe. Ed McMahon did die, but he died the day before. He died June 24th. They always say that death dies that death like that happens in threes, and Michael Jackson was the third. I remember all of that. Many of you in this chat remember it as well, because many of you, and this is no shot at y'all, are older than I am. So I know if I remember it, you remember it. But I didn't mean to go off on a tangent. The reason why I was bringing this part up of the article is because the This Is It film was not a documentary. It wasn't it was a documentary. I guess you could say it was a documentary, but it wasn't a tour film. So the way that they phrased this was incorrect. Taylor Swift has a high grossing for a tour film because that's what it is. It's highlighting a tour. But Michael Jackson did not do one concert for what would have been the This Is It tour. So they just released footage of background, and it was basically background and rehearsal footage. There's a difference. And I just want people to pay attention to how they phrase this, because they'll have you to believe that she did more than he did, but they're two different types of films. Natasha said you'll be 50 next month. Well, happy early birthday to you, just in case your birthday doesn't fall on the day that I do a live. But that's the first thing I wanted to point out, because trust me when I tell you we're going somewhere with this. I wanted to highlight just this part right here. The rest of the stuff talks about the other movies that were out in theaters, but I really wanted to focus on this part. So now we're going to head on over to this next tab right here, and this is talking about Drake. Now, Someone in the chat earlier had mentioned something about streaming. I forgot who it was. I hope they're still in the chat. But someone in the chat earlier mentioned something about streaming and how a lot of those numbers when it comes to streaming don't seem like they're actual factual numbers, opposed to back in the day when Michael Jackson was in his prime and shoot even past his prime. Streaming wasn't a thing. You actually had to go out to a record store and buy the record or buy the vinyl or buy the cassette tape or buy the CD. And if you want to take it back even further, you had to buy the 8-track. You actually had to go out and physically purchase albums. You had to actually go out and physically purchase released singles. Who remembers the A and B side of a cassette tape? Put a 1 in the chat if you remember the A and B side of a cassette tape. I do. I'm gonna drop, you know what? I'm gonna drop my 1 right now. There you go. The A side was more of what was released at the time. You know, like those were the songs that were out on the radio. And the B side were the what they call the deep cuts. Jennifer said, "My old ass." Listen, hey, we are all of a certain age here. I'm gonna make me saying that we all gonna feel old tonight. We all gonna feel a little ancient tonight. It is what it is. And you want to know what's so interesting? If Michael Jackson was alive today, he would be killing the streaming right now. Could you imagine what Michael Jackson would be like on social media if Michael Jackson had an Instagram? If Michael Jackson had a TikTok? If Michael Jackson had a YouTube channel? If Michael Jackson had a Twitter account? And it's crazy because those accounts that you will see of Michael Jackson that has a verified check mark are pretty much run by maybe his estate or a family member. But I brought Drake up because this article from Complex says Drake posts Degrassi photo dressed as Michael Jackson as he ties Michael Jackson for number ones. And it says that he has 13 number ones. Michael Jackson has 13. So Drake, all he would need is one more number one, and he would have more than Michael Jackson. But like I said, his is based on streaming. Michael Jackson's 13 number ones were based on raw numbers where people actually went out and bought the album, bought the single, or pushed these singles to be number one on the Billboard charts. Michael Jackson actually is the first, and I actually talked about this in a video I did on Michael Jackson months ago. Michael Jackson is currently the only artist living or deceased to have 2 videos on YouTube to cross let me take that back. He's the first and currently only artist to have 2 videos, one from the 80s and one from the 90s, cross 1 billion views. Those 2 videos are Billie Jean and They Don't Care About Us. If You Rock My World miraculously hits 1 billion, he will be the first artist to have 3 videos on YouTube to cross 1 billion between 3 consecutive eras: the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s. Donacy said, imagine going to a Jackson 5 concert. Oh, ask my dad. My dad told me he went to a Jackson 5 concert when he was a kid. His mother, my grandmother, went and took all of his siblings to it, and he said that they were so high up they looked like little ants down there, but he said he could barely hear them because those girls were screaming so loud. Oh, Donnie, you said you went to a few of them. Mitch Renee said, Drake is not a black man. Why is he comparing himself to? It's not because of Drake's race, because it has nothing. This actually has nothing to actually do with the race. Because notice who I just talked about. I talked about Taylor Swift, and Taylor Swift is a white woman. Drake is a biracial Canadian. But if you've noticed over the years, who they've been trying to get to say is the next Michael Jackson? Let's run it down. Justin Timberlake, PC Man, Bruno Mars. How is he Polynesian? How would you classify Bruno Mars? How would you classify Bruno Mars? The Weeknd, Usher, Chris Brown, Justin Bieber. I noticed some. Oh, remember that crappy cover they put with Harry Styles from One Direction on there, saying he's the next king of pop, while he in there wearing a dress? Are you kidding me? Beyonce. And the reason why I'm saying all of this is because, and I said it when I did my video about The Weeknd and Michael Jackson, when they start doing stuff like that, you're taking other artists out of their lane and you're putting them up against a titan that they cannot reach. Then they're going to spend most of their career trying to reach that, and they can't. They're batting above their average. They need to stay grounded and stay in their lane. Everybody has a lane. Stay in yours. It's okay if you want to grab inspiration, but guess what? Michael Jackson drew inspiration from James Brown, but he wasn't out there trying to be James Brown. But we could clearly see where he got the inspiration from. Michael Jackson got inspiration from Jackie Wilson, but he wasn't out there trying to be Jackie Wilson, but we saw where he got the inspiration. And even going back to Chris Brown, Michael Jackson even said out of his own mouth that Chris Brown was the next big thing. And Michael Jackson didn't just knight anybody. And Chris Brown had to come out several times and said, look, he's flattered that he gets the comparison to Michael Jackson. He knows Michael Jackson was a huge inspiration to him, but I'm not the next Michael Jackson. I'm just Chris Brown. And I commend him for saying that. It's a shame he has to always say that. It's a shame that that's always something that consistently comes up. I would get so annoyed. I would have to sign some kind of a paper that's when they ask you what questions you don't want to be asked. That would be one of the questions. Please don't stop asking me, am I the next Michael Jackson? But that's really all it boils down to me for. But as far as like this about, with Drake and everything like that, very interesting to say the least. And another thing that I've noticed as well, and when I was talking about the different artists that I mentioned, how come they always like to have a various amount of artists say, oh, they're going to be the next Michael Jackson, they're going to be bigger than Michael, as if they could, but they never say, and by they, I'm talking about PC, they never try to say that certain artists are going to be the next Elvis Presley. Has anybody ever noticed that? Has anybody ever noticed that they never compare these artists that they love to put up against Michael Jackson, a titan, a legend and icon, against an Elvis Presley? Now, keep in mind, we know who loves Elvis Presley. They called him the king, and to this day, I'm still trying to figure out the king of what exactly. Because everybody who has a title is a king or a queen of something. The king, the queen, the godfather, godmother, whoever of something. but they just called him the king. I said, the king of what? They won't dare do it, but they'll try to put everybody up against Michael Jackson, who, let's just be real here, was miles, eons, galaxies, light years, planets, galaxies, whatever, ahead of Elvis. And as an added bonus, Michael Jackson married his daughter. I'm just saying. But let's get off of Drake. And let's go into showing just some people who were inspired by Michael Jackson. One of them being Offset. Yes, Offset, the rapper, 1/3 of the Migos. I typed in Offset Michael Jackson into Google and all of these images popped up. This man is heavily inspired by Michael Jackson, especially on the fashion sense. Now, here you have Offset, who is a rapper, but he loves Michael Jackson so much that he actually has gotten his tailor or whoever does his clothing to mimic some of the most iconic looks that Michael Jackson has ever had in his career. And let's be real here, Michael Jackson was such a trendsetter. He wasn't out there trying to be like everybody else. He said, if y'all gonna call me the king of pop, I'm gonna dress the part. I'm gonna be royalty. Hence why y'all saw that picture that I used in the thumbnail of this man sitting on his throne. And shout out to Janesta for the $5 super chat. She said, I'm at work. Salute to you and thank you for the discussion. Thank you for the super chat. I greatly appreciate it. But Offset has literally replicated a lot of Michael Jackson's costumes. Well, not costumes, outfits. Here's one right here. Now, everybody knows this one. This is that iconic 1984 Grammy fit. That night where Michael Jackson won 8 Grammys and broke that record. Here's another one right here. This is during Michael's bad era. This is him with his kids at the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse premiere. Here's another one right here where Michael Jackson won the Legend Award for the Grammys back in 93. Here's another one right here. This is the, man, I've always loved this. I've always loved this right here. This was when Michael Jackson did his teaser for the History album. When he was walking down and had this suit on and had the army. Listen, iconic king stuff. I've always liked that. I've always loved that suit. Here's another one right here. This is actually when Michael Jackson went to the White House. I forgot. I think what president? I think it was Bush Sr. And here's a picture right here. This is from he was doing a video, and of course you can see he has the red jacket on, and we know what video he's drawing inspiration from. Thriller. Here's another one right here. Now keep this in mind, y'all. Like I said, Offset is a rapper. And he's a huge Michael Jackson fan. This man will imitate Michael Jackson until he is in the dirt. He went even as far as to get a tat of Michael Jackson right here from the Thriller video on his rib cage. If y'all can see it right here, it has an arrow pointing to it, and y'all can see that's Michael Jackson right there at the end of the video when he looks back and he smiles at the camera and his eyes are yellow. And it's crazy because Cardi B, who is his wife, felt some type of way about him getting that tat, but he said, I'm not getting rid of the tat. And you know what's so crazy? I see what some people are saying in the chat. I see what some people are saying. You know, why can't Offset have his own style and everything like that? Offset does have his own style, but every now and then he wants to do his tribute to Michael Jackson. And you want to know what? I applaud him for that because, like I said, he comes from a genre of music where a lot of people don't think that Michael Jackson played a part in, but he did. Y'all better listen to that Dangerous album. Y'all better listen to Michael Jackson doing beatboxing and making his own beats with his mouth. And on top of that, also more than anything, he's helping to keep Michael Jackson's legacy alive. I don't know whether he's aware of it or not. I don't know if people in the chat are aware of it or not, but he's helping to keep his legacy alive. And that's the whole point. And he's from this generation. Well, not this generation, but you know what I mean. He appeals to this generation. So when he does this, he's helping to expose those who may not know who Michael Jackson is to who Michael Jackson is. And speaking of drawing more inspiration, who remembers this? Who remembers this? The Super Bowl. We have two Super Bowls right here, y'all. We have Michael Jackson's Super Bowl of 1993, and that's another thing. Let's talk about that for a second. If it wasn't for Michael Jackson's Super Bowl in 1993, the halftime show would probably be over. Because before Michael Jackson did it, nobody was really tuning into the Super Bowl halftime show. Nobody was paying attention to it. I saw some clips from halftime shows of years past, and they were horrible. They had marching bands out there and all kinds of stuff. I was like, is this a halftime show or a parade? But when he did that performance in 1993, he set the bar so high that everybody else was trying to reach it ever since. And then we fast forward to 2016 when Beyonce was just a featured performer. She wasn't the headliner. It was Coldplay, and Bruno Mars and Beyonce were the featured artists. And when I saw Beyonce out there with that leather jacket with the gold plates going across her, I knew exactly who she was channeling. And to put the icing on top, it was the 50-year anniversary of the founding of the Black Panther Party. And ironically, the Super Bowl was in Oakland. And she had on the leather attire, and her dancers had the berets on with the leather jackets. So she killed two inspirations she knocked out two tributes in one. And I remember Rudy Giuliani got so upset. Who remembers when Giuliani got so pissed when Beyonce had that out there? He said that she was being anti-police. I will never forget that. Rudy Giuliani was so mad. He was pissed. If I still had my original channel, y'all would have saw that video because I spoke about it. Because that was on my original Taurean Reign YouTube channel. But yep, I remember that. Well, I mean, that was recent. I think we all remember that. That was just back in 2016. That wasn't that long ago. And let's talk about this one right here. Chris Brown. When I first saw Chris Brown perform, because me and Chris Brown, not only are me and Chris Brown the same age, we're also Tauruses, and his birthday is the day after mine. My birthday is May 4th. His is May 5th. When I first saw Chris Brown dance, I said, this kid, and I'm saying this kid like I'm much older than he is, and he's the same age as me. I was like, this boy is literally moving his body in a way I have not seen in a very long time. It's no wonder that he started getting the Michael Jackson comparisons early on. And it's no surprise that Michael Jackson has actually reached out to talk to him when he was alive. And it's also no surprise or shock that when it came to a lot of Michael Jackson tributes, even when Michael Jackson was alive, that they always asked Chris Brown to do them. I can't tell you how many tributes Chris Brown has done for Michael Jackson over the course of his career. And I was still kind of mad or pissed that they didn't allow him to do that tribute, that Thriller tribute on the AMAs last year. But I'm glad they recorded the rehearsal footage and put it out there, because Sierra was actually supposed to be a part of it. And speaking of Sierra, I don't know if y'all saw it, but I clearly won't play it on here. But Sierra and Chris Brown did a duet song that came out in August. And the name of the song is called How We Roll. It's an actually pretty dope song. If y'all haven't checked it out, y'all need to listen to it. And when I looked at how the video was set up, because basically what it is they're both dancing on like semi trucks. She's on one and he's on another. And they're just dancing, they got their own separate parties and everything like that. And then in the middle part of the song, Chris Brown throws a board out and they come in the middle of the board and they start dancing. When I saw that, I said, is it just me, or does it look like they drew inspiration from the Scream video with Michael Jackson and Janet? When I saw that, I said, that's exactly where it is. That's literally like the Scream video. Like you have them, doing their own thing, and then they come together to do that dance break. But like I said, if y'all get a chance to watch, see that video, y'all will see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so Jennifer said I was about to say Scream, but Blair in real life said it's fire, and Denise says you saw that video. So yeah, it does remind me of the Scream video. It's just that it's not in black and white. But I have one last thing to show y'all, and this is actually going to take this part right here is going to completely eclipse what people thought was whatever they think about when it comes to Michael Jackson and someone trying to dethrone him. I went on Wikipedia. Well, actually, I went to Google, but it led me to Wikipedia. And I typed in a list of awards and nominations received by Michael Jackson, and there is a lot of them. And not only does it have the list of awards and nominations received by him, but it also has the different world records that he's broken. And it's even more of those. So I'm going to just kind of skim around a little bit, like in the paragraphs, and then we can go into the list itself. It says Jackson's career was rewarded with 13 Grammy Awards, as well as the Grammy Legend Award and the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award, 6 Brit Awards, 5 Billboard Music Awards, and 24 American Music Awards. He currently holds 20 Guinness World Records. The organization also recognized Jackson as the world's most successful entertainer in 2006. He is a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, becoming one of the only few artists to be inducted twice. He was inducted in 1997 as a member of the Jackson 5 and again as a solo artist in 2001. Jackson was also inducted into the National Museum of Dance and Hall of Fame, making him the first and currently only recording artist to be inducted. He was also inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. Jackson was also inducted in 2014 into the Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame along with his father, Joe Jackson. So that's just the prologue right there. Now, these are the awards. Now, I want y'all to pay attention right here. On this column right here where my cursor is at, this is the award or organization that he was nominated or won. This was the year he won. the nominee, whether it's his name or a song or anything he's attached to, the category it's for, the results if he won or nominated or was an honoree. Look at all of this green. This guy has more wins and honorees than he has nominations, meaning he didn't win it. So let's look at this right here. 2004, Michael Jackson, he won the Golden Elephant Award. Didn't even know that was a thing, for the African Ambassador Spouses Association. In 2009, for the African American Films Critic Association, he got the Special Achievement Award. This man is getting awards even in death. 1980 to 1988, American Black Achievement Awards. Music Award, Entertainer of the Decade, We Are the World, one, honoree. American Cinema Awards, 1990, Entertainer of the Decade. America's Dance Honors, from 1980 all the way down. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. American Dance Honors, Dancer of the Decade. From 1980 all the way down to 2009 is nothing but American Music Awards nominations and wins. I'm not going to go through all of them, but they span from Off the Wall all the way down to the number one's album. American Video Awards, 84, 85 for Beat It and the making of Thriller. Not for the Thriller video itself, but for the making of the video. Meaning behind the scenes footage. He got something for behind the scenes stuff. Amusement of Music and Music Operators, Thriller, Beat It, Billie Jean. BET Walk of Fame, 1995, he was inducted. Billboard Music Awards for Dangerous, Black or White, You Are Not Alone. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Billboard number ones from 1972 all the way down to 83. Off the Wall, Thriller, Beat It, Billie Jean, you name it, it's on there. Like I said, these are all, like I said, he won more than he lost, y'all. He won more than he lost. Then, of course, you know, the Grammys, they did him dirty at the Grammys, the Grammy Awards when he was for that Bad album. But he said, you know what? You're not going to let me win? Fine. I'm going to perform my ass off and I'm going to go past my time. And thus giving us one of the best performances live I've ever seen. And these are all the Grammys, whether he was nominated or inducted. And I think this right here is probably the most pink you'll see in this whole column. Everything else, for the most part, is mainly green. But like I said, these are a whole bunch of awards he was nominated for and or won. It's so many. I feel like I'm scrolling forever. But these are all the different awards that he's won over the course of the years. But now let's get into his Guinness World Records. It says the Guinness World Records is a reference, but we don't need to know about that. It says Jackson currently holds 20 Guinness World Records out of a total of 39 records set in his lifetime. I want y'all to hear that again. It says he currently holds 20 Guinness World Records out of a total of 39 records set in his lifetime. The reason why it says 20 is because some of the records were broken. But when he was alive, he broke 39 records. Let's go through them. 1984, Thriller, best-selling album of all time. 1984, most Grammy wins in one night. 1986, Michael Jackson, highest paid commercial spokesperson. That was most likely for Pepsi. 1988, Bad at Wembley Stadium, most successful concert series and highest grossing tour by a male solo artist. 1990, highest fees for an entertainer. 1996, Scream, shared with sister Janet Jackson. Most expensive short film, which cost about, I think, $7 million at the time, which was a lot of money for a music video at the time. 1997, Thriller. So he's still breaking records for an album that was released over a decade before. Best-selling album by a male soloist in the UK. 1999, Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson, most successful siblings. Youngest vocalist to top the US singles chart. Most charities supported by a pop star. Longest span of number one hits by an R&B artist. Longest music video. Best selling music video. First vocalist to enter the US single chart at number one. Most hit songs on the UK singles chart in the one calendar year. Most simultaneous charted singles in the UK charts in a year. Most American Music Awards won by a male artist. Highest earning deceased artist. Most searched for male. Highest grossing concert film of all time. Longest span of US top 40 singles. Largest TV audience for a video premiere. Highest annual earnings for a celebrity ever. Highest earning dead celebrity. Most viewed Wikipedia page for a musician. Best-selling album in Canada. And most Billboard Music Awards won. Like I said, the pink is eliminated, meaning that someone has eclipsed that, and the green means the record still stands. And the other ones, it says decorations like times when he's gotten keys to the city. He's gotten keys to the city of Japan, Chicago, Gary, Indiana, Las Vegas, Detroit. Royal titles and styles, Kingdom of Sanwi or Sanwi. They said that they named him the High Prince of the Agni people. And then he got other honors right here. It's so many. VTLB said you reading off that list made me wonder. How do you think I feel? I read it. It's a lot. But I'm doing this to prove a point because a lot of people keep thinking that this guy's going somewhere or they're just going to let him fade off. No, that's not happening. That is not happening. It's one performance that I wanted to show, but I don't know how that copyright's going to work, even though it's a live performance. But one of my favorite performances from him live was during his Bad tour of Lovely One. That's probably my favorite one of my favorite live performances by him. I mean, the energy in that room, well, not that room because he was outside, in that stadium, wherever he was at, in that field, on that stage was so high. And that was prime Michael Jackson right there. But that performance was one of my all-time favorite performances by him. I love the Bad era too. That was a very good era. But y'all, we have reached the end of the stream, y'all. I know it was quite a bit to go through, especially that last part. But like I said, I had to do this because we got to keep this man's legacy alive. They gonna try to do everything they can to undercut it, but we are here to say that ain't happening. It's just not happening. Now Halloween's right around the corner. Now y'all know what y'all got to go do. Y'all got to go and stream. Ironically, we're talking about streaming or play or buy that Thriller. Now we've all seen it several times. What's wrong with seeing it several more times? And you know what? Throw Ghost in there too, because Ghost was pretty good too. That was a good short film as well. But with that being said, y'all, I'm about to get up out of here. It was good talking to y'all. We've been on here for almost an hour. I wanted to keep it within an hour anyway, and I was successful in doing that. Shout out to everybody who came through. Shout out to the people that donated to the channel. Shout out to Janesta for the $5 dono. I definitely appreciate it. We will be back on here tomorrow with the 4 p.m. upload. Y'all will see that premiere window when this stream is over. Make sure that y'all go ahead again and hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Make sure y'all go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. Shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. Y'all got a very interesting video today. Shout out to all of my members on here. Shout out to everybody who has supported the merch store. I greatly appreciate all of that good stuff and a whole lot more. Y'all be safe and be one.